Welcome. Hello. Welcome to week 2 of working from home. How fun is that? Do you like it? Are you having fun? Are you enjoying yourself? I hope so. Well, today I want to go over just a few things. We're going to obviously do our read aloud. We have a new reading this week, which is going to be pretty good, and I most definitely relate to. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's take a look at our agenda for today. So our agenda covers Motivational Monday. It's Monday, so you know what we do. We motivate each other. Number 2, Freak the Geek is our reading. All right, and we're gonna dig deeper on that. I'm sorry for the glare. We'll do Freak the Geek and we'll go over some terms. We'll go over how we annotate and things like that. So this is our agenda for the day. All right. So as we get started, I would love to start off with Motivational Monday. I know it has been a heck of a couple of weeks, so I just want to give you some encouragement today. Okay. So the message I want to give you is a message that I heard yesterday when I was getting encouraged and motivated. It says, "Don't get distracted, get determined." Okay, mister, what does that mean? Okay, so for example, when we're in this time, it's easy for us to look at the media, get on social media, look at the news, and get frustrated with what we see. And so we tend to put all our focus on that and then completely forget about anything else. One thing we have to understand is that life happens and that we have to continue to move forward. So do not get distracted, but get determined. Another thing I want you to let you know is, you got to think about it. What happens when everything blows over? What happens when everything is done? Are you going to sit there and wallow in it, or are you going to continue to move forward? So don't get distracted, get determined. And also, there are so many things you can do in this time, like work out, which I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get back on my workout regimen. Read a little bit. I'm trying to finish 2 books that I just really desire to finish. Um, so read. I know we hate reading. I know reading might not be fun to you, but reading is actually very helpful and very good. Create a business. Wait, mister, I'm 12, I'm 13, I can't create a business. Yes, you can. A lot of those people you follow on YouTube, a lot of those friends you follow on Instagram have their own businesses. You can create your own business. You can create your own YouTube account. You can think about a business plan. You can think about something that you could do in order to help you yourself make money and maybe be a millionaire or a thousandaire before you even graduate high school. Okay? But it takes time. There are so many things you can actually put your energy and your focus in besides looking at the media and getting stressed out. Get don't get distracted, get determined. Lastly, just know that we'll make this out. We'll make it out of this together. We're a team. So please get determined, get focused. We're gonna get into our lesson in a minute. So as we get into our lesson, I hope that you are focused. Okay? All right. We're good to go. Mr. Neese's coffee. Great. Now we're ready to learn. All right, according to our agenda today, we're focusing on Freak the Geek, which is our new story by John Green. It actually is a text that came from another story, which it comes from a larger book called Geektastics, Stories of the Nerd. I grew up as a geek, so this story, it makes me really happy that they wrote a book about people like me. Interesting. So we're going to be focused on Freak the Geek by John Green. Let's first talk about our predictions. Okay? So here's the thing. A lot of times when we read, we don't we overglance our predictions. How do we find our predictions in reading? Well, this is how you do it. You say like, okay, let me look at the title. Let me look at the font. Let me look at the picture. Let me look at how the story opens up. And that's how I'm able to find my prediction of what I'm getting ready to read. Like, for example, the moment I saw Freak the Geek, I was like, okay, freak, right? Freak, geek. Usually freak is used as a bad term, like, oh, that's a freak. He's a freak, he's weird, he's creepy. And then geek is usually looked at as someone who's really smart or really nerdy or someone with glasses, right? So when I looked at my predictions, I was like, okay, I can tell this book is going to be about a nerd. First being that it comes out of a bigger book called Geektastic, Stories of the Nerd. Um, Maybe this nerd is happy with being himself, and everyone else is hating on him. Maybe that's where he's at. Like he's happy being himself, but everyone's kind of jealous. I don't know. And then lastly, possibly is this like when all the nerds get together and defend themselves? Reminds me of a movie. Hmm. So maybe those are my predictions. So Those are my predictions. Now, after I come up with my predictions, I think it's really important that we come up with our words. Now, this would be the perfect time to pull out your vocabulary sheet. I'm not going to go over the definitions today. I'll go over them tomorrow, but maybe you can fill them in. So there are some special terms that we must go over, right? So, for example, you might not be able to see them very clear because of my glare. Okay, that's better. So we have the first word, profound, colonize, solely, immune, simultaneously. You see that? Addiction, immatriculation. Those are our words. Profound, colonize, solely, immune, simultaneously, addiction, immatriculation. Now listen, those students who did not check into the video will not get the bonus word. And the bonus word this week is matriculation. Okay? And we'll find that out as we read. Now, unfortunately, those students won't get that because of the simple fact that they don't tune into the YouTube video. So tell your friends to check it out so they can get the bonus word for the extra credit. All right? Shout out to all of you guys who actually turned in your work last week. I think you guys did an amazing job. Like a lot of you already got the extra credit and already got the extra points. So this is your chance to get it again this week. All right? Now we're going to get ready to read the story. But as we read the story, I want to go over a few more things. When you're reading, it is important that you annotate. Okay? What are we annotating? We're using our annotation strategies like questioning, schemas, inferences, predictions, and summarizing. We know what questioning is, right? Asking a question. Why is it like that? Why do they do it like that? What does the author mean? I wonder what the author thought when he created this. I wonder what the characters are going to do after this. Why would the person go questioning? Then we have schemas. Text to world, text to self, text to text. Inferences. It's more of a guess, but it's more of an educated guess. Like, I can infer that this is going to happen because, and then I add my evidence, because according to the text, it states XYZ. Predictions, I predict that this will happen. And then summarizing, which we'll do is pretty much summarizing the whole text. Now, please be mindful that we're going to run through all these different annotations, reading strategies as we read. Because as you know, I always pause as I read to go over those specific parts that might help you in your guidance. All right? All right. Let's get into this book, shall we? Another sip for the road. All right. Let's take a look. Freak the Geek by John Green. Right after our last class, Kaylee, hey Kaylee, and I are walking past the only bit of stone wall that survived the epic 1922 fire that nearly destroyed Hoover Preparatory School for Girls. Tragically, the school was able to reopen, which led inevitably to our matriculation at the god-awful place. That doesn't sound like she's being too happy about going to school. It sounds like she actually hates the school. She literally said, tragically, the school's reopened. None of you guys have no ideas when we reopen, okay? The only redeemable facet of Hoover is Kaylee herself, who's about the best booth one could ask for. Booth meaning, of course, best and only friend. It is final frontier in friendship. The heady waters out of paths of the sea of BFF. Pretty much saying that she's her best friend. So we're walking past the waist-high ruin of the wall, which everyone since 1922 has touched whenever walking past it. The wall has been touched so many times that it has worn down into almost a pleasant oval. Kaylee walked past, spits in her hand, and rubs the wall. I laugh, and then don't touch it myself. Not because I'm scared of Kaylee's germs, but because I hate traditions. Hoover Preparatory School for Girls has a number of profound stupid traditions, such as singing the Alma Mater song every Thursday at lunch tradition, and the stand when your teacher enters the room tradition, and everyone has to wear the exact same uniform so that no one will be able to tell who the geeks are, except for, of course, everyone can tell who the geeks are, because the geeks isn't something you wear, it's something you are a tradition. So funny. It reminds me of my students talking about wearing uniforms. Aren't you glad you don't have to wear uniforms now? This is the only free dress for you. Awesome. As it happens, I think doing things solely because they were done in the past is absolutely idiotic. I suppose it shows respect to our teachers when we stand every time they come into the room. But you know what would show more respect? If the insolent students who have colonized the awful place paid attention in class or took notes. You know what, Kaylee? I'm not Kaylee. Main character, we don't have her name yet. I would agree. Because I think the best way a student can show respect is paying attention, doing their homework, taking notes, right? But I digress. Witness, for instance, 7th period, AP Physics. In the row before me, Amber and Natalie quietly discuss whole basically identical calf length white socks in cutter. No, your white socks are cuter, excuse me. No, yours are, Amber whispers. Then Dr. Hafish turns around to draw a diagram of how one can measure the speed of light. No, Natalie mouths silently in response. Yours are adorable. Besides me, Amelia Lionel, the heir to the Wonder Bread fortune, seriously, pretends to sip from a can of Coke. In fact, she is spitting tobacco juice in it. Dipping is cool here. For some reason, particularly if you are on the field hockey team, which Amelia is. The weirdest things gets cool sometimes. So remember how when we were reading The Outsiders, we noticed that a lot of the boys were smoking. They were smoking cigarettes and chewing tobacco. And in this case, these characters in this story, the characters are too. Now, in this case, it's not the boys that are doing tobacco, it's the girls that are doing tobacco. Okay? What do you think about that? What are your thoughts about people doing chewing tobacco? What are your thoughts about people smoking cigarettes? What are your thoughts about boys or girls smoking cigarettes? Please comment below or add the annotation. Why? I mean, this is why I have never taken a lot of stock in being cool, as if popularity is something that inhabits you permanently, a virus that overwhelms your immune system so completely that you cease to be you instead of you have become cool. Sometimes I like things cool kids like, but I find it a little ridiculous to like all of the things that cool kids like. I mean, dip, really? All those two staining power of coffee? Oh, I like coffee. With extra added bonus of mouth cancer? Thank you, but no. The bell rings. We stand and wait as poor Housefit, who just wants to share the magic of physics with young people, shuffles out of the room, shoulders slightly hinged. He perks up a little when he sees Kaylee, who actually likes physics, smiling at him, and then shuffles out the door. So yes, we are awash in the sea of traditions, and I hate them all. I like going to Hoover because the only thing worse than having just a both is being separated from her. I mean, Haley is the badass I'd never be, and I can't be a badass if at least a privilege to hang out with one. Hoover is all right, but the incessant fetishing of traditions, unbearable. And so when just after Haley spit rubs the stone, someone runs past Haley and me and whispers, "Freak the geek!" And I'm doubtably pissed. First, I'm pissed because Freak the Geek is a tradition. And second, I'm pissed because you only hear those words whispered to you when you are one of the geeks who are about to get freaked. I'm not ashamed that I love Doctor Who or that I read 10,000 pages of HP fan fiction online. I'm not even ashamed about my Pokemon addiction. Okay, a little. I like being a geek, but no one, not even the hardcore geeks who have GEEK tattooed on their knuckles, wants to be one of the geeks. Kaylee and I wheel around simultaneously, trying to identify the whisper, but she's already several paces away. Just a narrow hipped body with a blonde ponytail bobbing around. She could be any of us, really. And that's the idea, I guess. Freak the Geek is the one day each year where everyone at Hoover gets to be one of us, except, I suppose, for Kaylee and me, I feel weirdly embarrassed. Like I've disappointed the universe by falling to claw far enough out of the social cast basement to escape whatever humiliation awaits. We know the drill. Because we've seen geeks freaked our freshman and sophomore years. The entire class gets together, at least everyone who's willing, to participate in idiotic traditions, which almost everyone, and on chosen day, the second semester of junior year, they pick two geeks to freak. Freaking takes various forms, of course. They might drag you by the ankles to the pond and throw you in, or might egg your car with 300 eggs. The freaking always lacks cleverness because, as previously noted, those doing the planning don't spend enough on their time engaged in academic pursuits. I mean, think of the freaking opportunities physics provides. Kaylee and I don't say anything. We just take off sprinting towards my car. I figure this is our best choice. But when we get within view of the parking lot, I see 50 girls standing in concentric rings around my SUV. Uh-oh, what do you think is going to happen here? This is your time to make a prediction. This is your time to make an inference, right? Each of them appears to be holding a gun. Jesus, Lauren, she mumbles under the breath to me. Have they renamed it Kill the Geek? One of them, honestly, they all look at the same. They look the same from the distance, but I think it might be this field hockey girl named Josie. Raises her weapon towards us. It's a strange-looking gun with a pink handle and exceptionally long barrel. I'm pretty sure it doesn't shoot bullets, but even so, I dive for the ground and cover my head. Kaylee just stands there and looks at her. She's shaking her head. Paintballs? She shouts. Paintballs? The whole world of mischief and malfeasance is available to you, and you pick paintballs? You disappoint me, ladies. I cover my head. I cover my head up and want to disappear, but I manage in a shaky voice to say, "You're an effing folk here, okay?" The sound that interrupts me is not like a gunshot. It's like a loud puff of air. I'm watching from the ground. Kaylee doesn't even flinch when a splatter of scarlet red paint bursts in front away from her head against one of the campus's famed live oak. I incline to stay down, but Kaylee reaches down and pulls on the collar of my school-provided itchy white blouse, and as I rise, we take off running together, away from the parking lot towards the lacrosse practice field. I don't hear my more paintball firings as I race across Hoover Green. I want to run back towards the classroom because surely someone will help. I mean, the administration has no official policy on Freak the Geek because they love traditions too much to denounce any of them. But they wouldn't let this happen to us. But Kaylee grabs me, steering me towards the woods. We just need a teacher, I say. I can hear them behind me, some girls shouting, "Switch to automatic mode, Scarlet Barlers!" Kaylee swivels around and starts running backwards long enough to shout, "You call yourselves the Scarlet Ballers and we're the Geeks?" I hear a series of air bursts and I'm turning back long enough to see how far away they are, and bright red explosions littering the ground behind us. Kaylee shouts, "Lauren, come on, fast!" Our main character. We're almost across the lacrosse field. Across the lacrosse, uh-oh. But that's a similar sound. We haven't learned that yet, but I'll teach you guys about literary devices. A thick stand of trees before us, and the freakers must have been terrible aim, or else paintball guns are hard to shoot, because the trees are soon riddled with abstract paintings in red, but nothing hits me yet. Haley's running just in front of me, crouching slightly, and I say, "Stay low, stay low," and she says, "I know." And then finally, we're among the trees. And here is our advantage. The freakers might be the better physical shape than us, but no one knows these woods like Kaylee and me. We've been walking around the hundreds of acres of forest on Hoover's campus for 3 years worth of lunch periods. Both the food and the atmosphere at the cafeteria are unbearable. And anyway, we've never really gotten along terribly well with the girls who eat there, which is to say all of them. So as Kaylee and I weave parallel paths through the trees and bushes, a thick blanket of rotting leaves cushioning our every step, I can hear the voices of the freakers grow more distant. I'm still half running, which makes me fully out of breath. Still, my wits have recovered sufficiently to talk in the complete sentences. "I've never really thought about it before," I tell Kaylee as we simultaneously duck under the low-hanging oak branch. "But just the phase Freak the Geek is just hugely lame." "Yeah," Kaylee says, "true. I'm almost like the name who brought up the bunch of mustooshed, purple-hued maltworms." Haley liked using Shakespearean insults. I get down on one knee in the flash to pull out my sock. A girl has to protect herself from poison ivy. Richard the Third? I guess. Henry the Fourth? She says. I nodded. I could hardly hear the girls behind us anymore. I mostly just hear our breaths coming fast and hard and ground crunching beneath us. Now listen, this is our time to use text to text with schemas because we have made text to text. And how do we do that? We've connected the reading to Shakespeare, right? So they've referenced Henry the Fourth, Richard the Third. Those are both Shakespearean pieces, both Shakespearean literature that you will read when you take Shakespeare. Maybe I might give you guys some Shakespeare depending on how long we are doing online lessons, but that's something to pay attention to. Like, admittedly, I am not an expert in slang, I say, but isn't freaking usually kind of sexual? Kaylee turns around to me and runs backwards just enough to say, example? Madam, I wish to freak your body. Or, my heart desires become freaky with you. Ha, says Kaylee. She doesn't laugh much, but she's a fair amount. Well, yeah, maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's why they picked the cutest girl in the junior class. Maybe they just want to slather us in paintball paint and then do unspeakable things to us. I laugh, but only for a syllable. Kaylee, is beautiful oval face with big eyes and very curvy. I think I am marginally acceptable. I mean, there are no large scale problems with me, I detect, except for a general lack of room in the bust area and a nose that occupies a bit too much space. But no one would think of me as pretty as Hoover, or even Kaylee. Being pretty here involves so much more than being pretty, and frankly, I don't have time for it. By the time we've crossed the hill, I can't even hear the freakers anymore. And even though my Mary Janes are half soaked, I feel good. I wish they hadn't picked us. There are plenty of unpopular people to go around. The drama kids who do the tech work, the girl who single handedly runs students' newspapers, the girls who Kaylee and I play Pokemon with in the student lounge during free periods. But if they had to pick us, they picked the both of us. Now, as you guys can see, the text is getting more teenage. So as you guys are getting into the higher level, you guys know that this text is actually an 8th grade to 12th grade reading. So of course they're covering things that might be a little bit inappropriate or things that you guys may discuss out on the play yard that usually you won't discuss amongst your parents or in class. So that is just my mistake um, in not preferencing you the more advanced pieces of the reading before you got started. But it's kind of like how Dear Martin was. There were some excerpts of Dear Martin that was like, whoa, this is intense, and just like The Outsiders. But these are the things that teenagers go through, and then it actually makes those connections to the issues of growing up as a teen. For example, when we look at um, her saying like freak has two definitions. It can be something that's very inappropriate and sexual, or it can be something that is talks about a person and who they are. Then she talks about her developing. So we talk about a coming of age. As teenagers come of age, their body starts to change and they don't feel like they're beautiful enough and they don't feel like they're accepted enough. So those are the connections we can make that goes along with teenage literature, and it is showing our gradual growth in our reading. So we started with The Outsiders, and now we're moving into something that's a little more advanced. Okay, let's get back to the reading. We descend the other side of the hill, heading towards the cemetery where the school founder and her family are buried. My weight is way back on the ankles as I half walk and half slide down the hill, dodging boulders and trees and immense mounds of kudzu and the overtaken bushes twice as tall as me. We get down to the hill much quicker than we got up it, and I know we're near the bottom where I hear Hoover Creek. The bridge, I said. Yeah, obviously, Kaylee answers without looking back at me. Jesus, sorry, I say. The land flattens out and Kaylee launches into full stride and she gets out in front of me as if she's compelled to remind me that she's faster than I am. But it doesn't matter. We're going to the same place. I watch her reach the dirt road and lead back to the stables, run parallel to the moment for a moment, and then dip her head underneath the one-lane bridge and cross over to the creek. Kaylee and I have spent many lunches under the bridge in the cement. Outcropping lets us sit with our legs dangling over the water, which ran enough to muffle our voices to anyone walking or driving above, but quiet enough that we could always hear each other. I reach the bridge a couple of minutes later and sit down next to Kaylee, who was staring into the water. She doesn't say anything to me, so after a while, I tell her, I feel kind of like an orc hiding out under a bridge. A troll, she says. And then she sighs, you feel kind of like a troll. No, trolls are people. I don't feel like a person. I feel like an orc. I insist, she sighs again, the time clearly a nod. Lauren, she says, you're so stupid sometimes. Trolls are not people. Orcs are not people. Only humans are people. Orcs are from Tyrol folklore and they live on mountains. They live under bridges. And they have really long hair and big noses. And that's clearly what you meant when you say orc. I reach over and put my hand on her shoulder and say, okay, sorry. I meant trolls. Jeez. Are you okay? Yeah, Lauren, I'm splendid. Everyone in my entire class is trying to attack me with paintball guns, and I've officially been declared one of the two least liked people in our peer group. And my best friend doesn't know crap about folklore, and I'm dirty and sweaty and gross, all in just splendid. So she's really just frustrated with her situation, and it sounds like she's taking it out on her best friend. And sometimes we do that, right? Like we get so frustrated with things and we get angry. Like me, I remember getting upset with my best friend one time. I said something or I was frustrated about something and I was like, you know what, Darius? He was like, dude, you tripping, you know? And sometimes when we get upset with our best friends, it's not because we hate them, it's not because we don't like them, it's just because we're frustrated with what's going on with us. But you also have to be very mindful of how you treat your friends because your friends love you, especially when they love you like family, you know? And that happens all the time. Has that happened to you? Comment below. Well, you don't have to be B word, I say. It's not my fault. She says nothing. It's not my fault. I repeat. And she says nothing. And then smaller, I say, you think? She takes that as a start. I think that sometimes you could be a little, I don't know, meek, and they prey on that. So they prey on us. Meek is kind of like to be simple, to be scared, to be docile. And a lot of people who are bullies, and a lot of people who are negative, they prey on people who are meek. They prey on people who are less than or who are weaker. And whenever they say someone who is a disrespectful or a harasser or a bully, they prey on the weaker people. They prey on the lowly people. And that's why she's saying, you are meek. That's why they prey on us. Is she right by saying that? I think that's rude for her to say that because at the end of the day, they're both getting picked on. They're both having to have this talk. Like it's not fair that she's just throwing it in her friend's lap. Like this is all your fault. Completely not facts.